Hello, welcome to Comic Combos. I'm your host, DJ Watcher, and right now we have our guest.
My name's Amancio. Nice to meet you guys.
Hey, hi, Amancio. This is your first time on the podcast, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Second time recording, first time live. So please, audience, bear with us here. Amancio, please introduce yourself.
So, as I already told you, my name's Amancio, and one of the things I like to do is read quite a bit of comics, and I'm really curious about Green Lantern today, because,
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. There's backstory to this.
yeah.
So before we get into that, favorite fast food restaurant?
My favorite fast food restaurant is Whataburger.
Okay, cool. Nice. I always, so far, our running total is Whataburger, McDonald's, and I think it was Chick-fil-A. Okay. So, I need to keep a list on this.
Is that a fast food restaurant?
Yes.
Chick-fil-A is a fast food restaurant?
Chick-fil-A is a fast food restaurant. We are not going to get bogged down in this, and this podcast in no way supports Chick-fil-A.
No, I was asking because I honestly forgot that it was.
Yes, it is a fast food restaurant. Once again, this podcast is not for Chick-fil-A in any way. Okay, so we're going to talk about Green Lantern. Can you please explain why we want to talk about Green Lantern today?
I don't know if you guys know what Ben 10 is, but I'm an avid Ben 10 fan. He's that random kid who found a watch that lets him turn into 10 different aliens. And I think it's been a year or two now that since Death Battle posted a video of Green Lantern versus Ben 10. And so I was recently rewatching the Ben 10 series, and a friend of mine poked me with the video, and it made me extremely infuriated. So I wanted to know quite a bit more about Green Lantern, as he's one of the DC characters I'm not really familiar with, because I feel like a lot of media kind of depicts him as a lot weaker than he actually is in the comics, which led me to be really curious about him.
Okay, so so what we got here is this is the other thing that we like to do on this podcast. The first one is talk about like a specific anime or manga or comic that touched you. So that's why last week we had Demon Slayer and
Oh, that's a good one.
yeah, it's really good actually. And that time I was reincarnated as a slime. That one was
It's a bit iffy.
that one's a bit less good. Nah, it was cool though. It was cool to find out about it. So this week, the other thing that we like to do is deep dive on characters. So like a very specific character, very specific time. So like in a few weeks we'll be talking about Leon Rasputin from the X-Men, which certainly not a lower tier character, but like definitely less known than Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Or we can talk about like vaguely other deep dives for manga or just regular comic characters. So where to start with Hal Jordan Green Lantern? Okay. So origins for the character. He was created around 1954, if I remember correctly. The Silver Age was just starting up, and they had an old Green Lantern, Alan Scott. He was a way more magic-based character, but because comic books superhero sales kind of dipped down after World War II ended, once they wanted to pick back up again with the Silver Age of characters, your Barry Allens, your Justice League instead of Justice Society, for those who know their comic history.
Oh, right, that was its original name.
Yeah, the original name was Justice Society because,
God, that's so...
but once the Silver Age started, Gardner and Fox decided, let's go with the League because, and I quote, a society is something you find on Main Street, and he wanted the kids to associate the League with Major League Baseball, which at the time was taking off.
That is actually a really great way of pushing that.
That is a really great way, but it's also so weird.
I mean, the Justice Society sounds kind of off nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be. Well, he was actually right. Old-timey and a little bit like more like old-fashioned to the League, which, but that's probably a lot of marketing. Anyway, back to it. Hal Jordan was created around 1954, along with Barry Allen, as like the successors to the Flash and Green Lantern Mantle, because those characters had fallen off. Rest in peace, Jay Garrick and Alan Scott. And so they were decided to be like the new Silver Age and the Flash and Green Lantern. And their popularity kind of took off until at least the 1980s. That's going to be a later thing if we ever cover the Flash, because, oh my god, there's so much to talk about there. Okay. Back to Green Lantern, though. Hal Jordan, everybody knows the story. He was a test pilot for Ferris Air, and then he found an alien in the desert named Avensor, who chose him to be the next Green Lantern, and he's a space cop, essentially. Indomitable will, a lot of really weird feats, and known for using the greatest weapon in the galaxy
A ring.
as the giant boxing glove. That's his go-to. Oh my God.
I feel like if this man had more creativity, he could create something like a Dyson sphere and
We
absolutely
will get
destroy
to that.
people.
We will get to that so fast. Okay, so characterization. Hal's an idiot. There is no two ways about that. Hal Jordan
Yeah, he
is
seems to be lacking in the brains department.
Hal Jordan is such an idiot. Okay,
Even Barry's smarter than him, and that's an accomplishment in
yeah.
itself.
To be fair, Barry is a police scientist. He knows at least a little bit.
I mean, but like
Barry lacks a lot of comments. Okay, so
he lacks common sense, but Hal Jordan just lacks everything.
yeah. Okay, so the meme about Barry Allen is like, oh no, his go-to is time travel and like messing with the timeline. Well, that's not really true. Barry had one big event about that. He never did it again.
Flashpoint?
Flashpoint, yeah.
Yeah, Thomas Wayne being
Yeah,
Batman was
Batman.
really scary.
Martha Wayne being the Joker, Superman being emaciated. There was a Wonder Woman and Aquaman war. There was a lot of things going on there.
Yeah.
Check it out if you want to. It is fairly self-contained. So,
But-
Flashpoint. Yeah. But going back to Hal's characterization. Hal was actually one of the few characters in the Silver Age that have really consistent characterization, going up until really the 1990s, and onward from 2004 when he got revived. So Hal, to sum up, is he may be a crack hotshot like Air Force pilot. He's also an absolute mess. There have been times in comics where he's homeless, where through mostly fault of his own, like it wasn't because like the economy tanked or anything. He just didn't pay his bills and stuff.
You think he could use the ring for that?
He could. He chooses not to, and we'll once again get into that later because that actually drives up into something I really like, even though a lot of people don't.
He could probably end the world.
Yeah, once again, that will go into something that I really like, but a lot of people don't. Okay. So yeah. So Hal Jordan's life is a mess. His love life's a mess. Like, he barely has an apartment. There's actually a panel of Superman dressing him down for that very reason. Like, it literally is just like, God damn it, Hal, you have
Okay,
power
but
on-"
like, Superman is that stereotypical "I'm the best."
Yeah, okay, so Superman... Okay, so once again, Hal is...
He's a mess, but like Superman, come on.
Yeah, Superman's being a bit of like you're Superman. Not everyone can look at me and be like you.
If it was from Barry, that might make a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that's also demeaning.
It is. It is a bit demeaning to like chastise someone for their homeowner.
Yeah, for their own
Yeah, I don't know how to say that.
their home ownership.
Yeah. Okay, so but yeah, Hal has always been portrayed as a bit of a mess. Like everyone else in the league usually has their shit together. Superman always has a status quo. Hal's always the one that's the layabout. He's your slacker friend.
He's the one who shoots missiles and creates giant airplanes to hit
Yeah.
people around when he has the best weapon in the absolute universe.
Yeah. So Hal's seminal stories in the Silver Age was mostly just Sinestro. That was the one that everyone knows, and that was like the origin of like his greatest villain.
So Sinestro is the Yellow Lantern, right?
Yeah, Sinestro's the Yellow Lantern. Quick backstory on him: he was the Green Lantern of Korrigarg, and was said to be the greatest of the Green Lanterns. Until he decided to be not a Green Lantern, he decided that he could fix the problems with
Fear.
on Korrigarg himself by ruling it with an iron fist. Hal Jordan and the rest of the Green Lanterns stopped him, and then he became like the Yellow Lantern. Although that wasn't until honestly 2004
Isn't
where that
it
was.
something like you have the power to invoke great fear?
Yeah, okay, so that was actually really new around 2004 because Jeff Johns wanted to expand it, and up until that point, all we really had about the Yellow Lantern ring was just, it works off fear. It wasn't until like 2004 with all the other color of the core
Mm-hmm.
that we actually got, oh, it's the Yellow Lantern core. Like, it was actually a really new thing, like, comic book-wise.
So are these all supposed to? I'm really curious about the cores. Are they all supposed to be defenders or?
Okay, so no. What happened was that originally it was just the Green Lanterns from like, so for like 50-ish years, it was just the Green Lantern Corps, and Sinestro was around there somewhere. Yeah. Until Jeff Johns kind of took the reins and decided to redo a lot of the Lantern lore. So now we had the Green Lanterns, space cops, the Yellow Lanterns, which were more like space terrorists, but really it was a turf war between the two. I don't remember any like definitive plans.
So they're basically space gangs.
Space gangs, essentially, yeah.
Mm.
You could say a lot about policing from that point on, but I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Then we have the Blue Lanterns, who are kind of like
Hope.
yeah, they're hope. They're more like space. I don't want to say missionaries, but like space. Space.
They're a space religion.
Yes, no, kind of not really. Like they're space volunteer people. Like their entire thing is to help people around the galaxy. They're honestly like super interesting, and they've actually done a lot with like other members of the League getting that ring in particular. Superman's never gotten it. That is a wasted opportunity.
I feel like if you gave Superman the blue ring, the world would very quickly end. Like
Okay, so the blue ring.
he invokes so much hope.
So much hope that
Think about it like this: he's gonna put that ring on, and it is going to explode.
you're not wrong. Luckily, Green Lantern rings exploding, as far as I know, don't really have that much of an impact. They've been broken a lot of times.
No, like I'm talking like the amount of hope and the absolute like force of just good vibes that emanate from this man
Yeah,
would probably cause some kind of spatial distortion.
You're not wrong. Luckily, Blue Lantern rings aren't actually that useful unless you have a Green Lantern around them. That's kind of the caveat.
Oh, they're like a supercharger then.
Yeah, okay. So the way that works is that like Blue Lantern rings don't work unless you have a Green Lantern. So like Blue Lantern rings would be just like, oh, okay, you can defend yourself fairly quick, fairly easily. Maybe even heal people, fly, that kind of like normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't like make constructs or anything. Otherwise, Blue Lanterns are like super strong and they can like reverse the Age of Stars and stuff. That was their opening feat when they got introduced. Like a star was dying, Hal was near, so one of the Blue Lanterns decided, I had to wind the clock back a bit, and it's a baby sun again.
So wait, so Hal has been able to use time travel before?
No, the Blue Lantern could use time travel and like time distortion.
Oh, so they leech off of willpower.
They leech off of willpower because hope is nothing without will, etc. To go over the other ones super quick, Orange Lantern, the Green Lantern agreed, super strong, but there's only one of them.
Wasn't he also possessed by his like lantern spirit?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're gonna have to take a break real quick because we've gone on way too long about Green Lantern lore. I'll sum up real fast when I get back, and we'll talk about where Hal goes from here. Yeah. Okay, so we're back to Comic Combos, and I've got to finish up explaining Green Lantern lore. Okay, so Red Lanterns, angry boys. Their blood is fire and lava. They vary from good guys to bad guys. Introduced as bad guys, I think they're kind of neutral from this point on.
All I know about them is that there is a cat.
There is a cat. He's really cool. His name is Dexstar. So essentially, it's supposed to be like
Death Star?
Dexstar, DEX.
No, like it reminds me of
Death Star.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, Red Lanterns are supposed to be like retributionist lanterns. Like they're supposed to be like outraged at like the state of the universe and stuff. And
They kind of are, I guess.
Yeah, like the original one was the last survivor of a genocide.
I don't know if you've ever seen that TV show about Green Lanterns and Red Lanterns, and oh my god, it is so cringy.
I have.
But
I've
you know
not
what?
watched
I
that in
do feel
years.
like that they did depict them as retributionists, but
Yeah,
it's
okay.
just
Like Red Lantern,
awkward.
all the lanterns can vary from good to evil no matter what. Just because you are a Green Lantern doesn't mean you're going to be always good.
Take Sinestro.
Yeah, Sinestro, just because you're... Yellow Lanterns seem to be the one, like, yeah, those are almost always bad, but recently they have had, like... No, some of them are good dudes. All of them can kind of vary. I think Blue's, like, the only definitive... Yeah, you gotta be good there.
I mean, but you can hope for evil.
You can hope for evil. I don't think that earns you a ring, though. I don't... It's supposed to be the hope that you inspire in others and the hope that you can, like, make things different.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of bad people that inspire hope.
It's not the same thing. Okay, Indigo Lanterns. They're supposed to be like Indigo
Compassion?
Lanterns, yeah, are compassion, but they're also like super weird and not where I would have gone with the concept at all.
They're like the tribal ones, right?
Okay, yeah, they're the tribal ones, and that is very loaded. And okay,
I feel like I shouldn't have said that.
I'm honestly not sure.
Because I feel like that whole topic of the Indigo Lanterns, and the Indigo Lanterns are one of the only Lantern Corps I actually know about, because
Really?
I thought that they were so out there.
No, they are like super weird. I don't even know where Abin Sword comes into it because they have them in their freaking like oath, and they're all like super like robotic, like almost lobotomized like dudes trying to like make up for their past crimes. So a lot of them
I
are...
feel like it's I feel like compassion, inspiring compassion in others. I feel like those people would inspire compassion, but it's not compassion. It's truly pity.
Yeah, okay, so like Indigo Lanterns, for those that don't know, aren't actually there for their own. They have not earned the compassion ring. Well, I guess they did. They just haven't earned it in a positive way. Like
It's a negative.
it's a negative. Like if you earn a compassion ring, that means that you had so little compassion or depth for humanity that the ring seeks you out to fix you and make you a compassionate person.
What about those that are compassionate and earn a ring?
Is that a thing that has happened?
I feel like that is a thing that's happened.
Because okay, it might be. I do not remember it though, and I don't think I've read that story. But their introduction was definitely like, we are the rehabilitation corps. Like
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
so, whatever happened there, I've got no idea. And honestly, I think they were brought in during Blackest Night, so not much was given in depth about
Isn't
them.
wasn't that when the black ring?
The Black Rings. Okay, so going off of them because we only got 2 left, I think. The Black Lantern rings are the embodiments of death. Just like Grim Reaper's around. His name was Necron, and he decided, like, you know what? Screw life. It's gonna be death.
What about pink lanterns?
I forgot about the Violet Lanterns.
It's because I remember you said 2, and I was like, so you're thinking black, and I believe white, but I don't know if that's a
no,
core.
we
There's
didn't
just
talk
one man.
about the Violet Lanterns. Okay, so Violet Lanterns, the Star Sapphires, they're dedicated to love. Originally, they weren't. I think originally that was the thesis, but she was evil. Okay, so Carol Ferris used to be the only Star Sapphire before Jeff Johns got his hands on it and decided to make it an entire core. And she was just supposed to be like a rival for Hal Jordan to fight because she was a Star Sapphire. It was originally like a thing on her head. I don't know too much about that, but is a thing that happened before they decided, you know what, it's gonna be love.
Maybe the core was born from the star sapphire that was on her head.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it originally starts out really oddly sexist because like originally the Guardians were like all male and the Zamorans were all female, and the Zamorans were the ones that made the Pink Lanterns, the Star Sapphires, for love, and the Guardians chose will. Honestly, get into it. It sounds way more childish than I remember it. I could be wrong though. Audience, please tell me if I'm wrong. Back to like the last ones, White Lanterns. They're all the colors of the spectrum.
Isn't there only like one of them?
There is only one of them. Sinestro was the first one, and then everyone was a White Lantern
At one point.
at one point, and then it was Kyle Rayner.
Isn't he the guy who had like a husband and they died and they became the avatar of the White Lantern? Or am I remembering that story
You are
incorrectly?
remembering that story incorrectly. Kyle, I would love to cover Kyle on the show. He is my favorite Lantern. We'll get to him another day.
I might ask more questions about the Lantern Corps eventually.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's your sum up for Green Lanterns. Do be advised that this was all 2004-ish onward. Up until then, it was just the Green Lanterns, and Sinestro was around there somewhere. The things that they fought otherwise were like Despero or Starro, or just not
Starro the Conqueror?
Starro the Conqueror. That might have been just the Justice League, but that was the kind of threat level they faced. It wasn't just.
Starro the Conqueror, in my opinion, and I know this is probably going to sound kind of bad,
Yeah.
he is one of the greatest villains in DC.
Honestly, he's so ridiculous.
He's a
so
starfish.
Good. He is a starfish. That's all he is. He mind controls people with smaller versions of themselves. Yeah.
That's
No,
why I think he's so great, especially, I don't know if you guys watch Suicide Squad.
I have watched
The second
Suicide-
one?
The second one, yeah,
So
the good one.
the reason I liked it a lot was because we got to see Starro in all his glory. For
Yeah, okay.
like a couple of minutes. It was worth it.
Honestly, I think I love that. I love sympathetic Starro, and I love that started in like Batman Beyond. There was like an episode where they introduced the Justice League, and then it took over Superman because it had no other option to like survive on Earth.
He did not want to do that.
He did
was
not
just
want to
like,
just be in a zoo for the rest of his life.
I want to be free.
Yeah, that's actually his entire motivation in those two things, and it's honestly super compelling.
And then he dies.
And
Oh
then
well.
Both
Poor Starro.
in the movie, in the cartoon for the Batman Beyond, he actually managed to go back to his own planet.
Yeah, no, I know that, but like
With
he was still defeated.
yeah, he was still, it works out
Mostly
well
intact.
for him. Mostly intact. Back to Hal Jordan. Okay, so he threw out Sinestro, and then the Green Lantern Corps blew up.
Was he the only Green Lantern for a while?
Oh, okay. So the Green Lantern Corps has died at least 3 times.
Mm.
I think it might be bordering on 4. I'm not quite sure. At the very least 3.
Does Infinite Earths count as one because there was only 3 lanterns left?
No, but it's similar. Okay,
Okay.
so the Green Lantern Corps died for originally at first reasons I can't remember, and so it was just him, John, I think. By the way, at a certain point he did meet John. So Hal Jordan's history goes, I'm the Green Lantern. I'm a weirdo and a bit of a loser, but I'm a hotshot ace pilot. All the willpower in the world. Fights Sinestro, beats him, is now the greatest of the Green Lanterns. Runs to the Star Sapphire, beats her. Still Black Hand. There's a lot of villains he has, and once again, it's all more stereotypically like Earthbound kind of capers at that point. The next big thing I remember is them bringing on Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart. And originally he is both combative with both of them. Guy Gardner was just the worst person.
I feel like Guy Gardner has a better character arc than Hal, though.
Absolutely.
Like-
Until the 90s. I will get to that later.
Hal's just like, I'm a hotshot.
Okay, so we introduced Jon Stewart, how deals with a lot of his biases, and we gotta take a break. And when we come back, we will talk about Arisa and that entire thing. Oh my god, that's so weird. See you in a little bit. We're back. Okay, so I know we were talking about something else during the break, but I do want to get this podcast back on track. And we've only got 18 minutes to cover the entire rest of Hal's history. So, okay, what was her name? Arisa. I'm gonna cover this really fast because it's really weird and really gross.
Basically, a child becomes 18, attempts to seduce somebody, and is like really
Attempts
weird.
to seduce Hal, a grown man, who at first resists it, eventually gives in, and it's super weird, and it was status quo for 10 years. I don't know why. It was the worst thing. We're not going to talk about it anymore, because it's basically been, like, scrubbed clean by the Green Lanterns, but still in continuity for some reason. All space cops are bastards. Don't listen to them.
Let's just time skip this.
Yeah, okay. Time skipping to 1993, 94, because that's kind of all that happens to Hal. All you need to know is the Green Lantern Corps came back. Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner are now, like, essentially, like, full-fledged members of the Lantern Corps instead of just being Hal's backups.
Is Jon Stewart the Black Green Lantern?
Jon Stewart is the Black Green Lantern.
Okay, I didn't want to sound racist by saying that.
You were going to sound racist by just asking, by the way, that's the black guy, right? Like, considering that all the rest of them are white. Well, no, actually, only 2 of them are white now. There is one black dude, one
Isn't there a Mexican woman?
2 of them. Well, there is one Mexican lady. I think she's Mexican. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. Jessica Cruz. Simon Bass, who is, I think, Middle Eastern. I don't remember which one. And then there's Kyle Rayner, who is half Mexican.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that we're supposed to be talking like completely about the Green Lantern Corps and everything,
About
but
Hal
I do.
Jordan specifically.
Yeah, I wanna make this comment about Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. If you look at them both, there's the Green Lantern Corps, millions of willpower, and then there's this tiny little light that's Hal Jordan. If there was a fight between Hal and the entire Green Lantern Corps, everyone knows who would come out on top. Hal Jordan would destroy the Lantern Corps, destroy the Guardians, and be the only remaining man.
We'll get to that literally right now. Okay, so Death of Superman was a thing in that Mongol destroyed Coast City at the behest of Cyborg Superman. We're not really going to get into that, except what happened because of Hal Jordan. So Hal Jordan was coming back from space, sees that Coast City is destroyed, and wrecks Mongol, like, super bad, even though Mongol's yellow, because they haven't patched that out yet. By the way, the Green Lantern ring, up until at least the 2000s, was weak to yellow.
If you threw a yellow shirt on him, he was basically
No.
powerless.
This has happened multiple times in comics, and we will get to that in a little bit at the end, to really sum up everything that Hal Jordan's
Wait,
about.
does that mean that he was weak to Superman's chest for a while because of the yellow
Very
part?
specific parts of Superman's chest, yeah. Literally, if you shot him in the chest, it would pierce the red, would not pierce the yellow, and Superman could just, like, barrel into him.
I feel like that was a great weakness to keep.
It's honestly very fun. Frank Miller infamously once had Batman paint a room entirely yellow to mess with Hal. It was so good. It was a horrible comic, All-Star Batman and Robin. All-Star Superman is great, but All-Star Batman and Robin is awful. We'll get to that maybe some other day. Back to Hal Jordan. So, infamously, after that, Hal kind of went a bit regret crazy. So
Insane?
Yeah, you remember you were talking about, like, if Hal Jordan fought all the Green Lanterns, he would win.
Yeah.
That legit happened in 1994. It was called Emerald Twilight, and was the dawn of Hal being a supervillain.
Oh right, because he became like a
He
Yellow
became
Lantern at one point.
paralyzed. He didn't really become a Yellow Lantern. So what happened was that Coast City was destroyed, and Hal regretted everything. So he tried to recreate it. We'll get back to this in literally 3 minutes. And he tried to recreate the Coast City. The Guardians didn't like that, and Hal decided to kill them all. I'm not kidding. He killed like 20 Green Lanterns that came after him to stop him on his way to.
Yeah, but that's just 20 of them. That's not the whole core.
Okay, so once again, he takes their lantern rings as trophies after killing them.
Does he like gain their willpower by taking their rings?
Honestly, it's very weird what happens. I think the idea was that he was supposed to be even more powerful, but
does he like wear them on each finger? Or
yeah,
something?
the Green Lantern rings don't really work like that. One is as good as 20 just because of what they do.
But what if you could channel the same amount of willpower through every single one?
That's the thing about it, but it's not like. Okay, so like it's essentially a giant hole, and your will is like a waterfall. So it's essentially the difference between being a shower and being like a hose.
Okay, but what I'm suggesting is this. Think about it like, so Hal Jordan is basically this being of infinite will.
He is this being of infinite will. We will get to this literally in 5-ish minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I know what you're saying. Like, just if you can put the same amount of will in every
it's
one
like,
of them.
yeah, 20. It's not just one Hal Jordan anymore. It's like 10
yeah,
Hal
but
Jordans.
at the same time, he has to actually keep track of what he's doing. So it probably can be more than just like a blast or something.
Just have them do the same thing 10 times.
Just 10 boxing gloves.
10 boxing gloves, yes, precisely.
Okay, so Hal destroys the Green Lantern ring, kills Sinestro, destroys the core, and takes all their power for themselves. Yeah, no, this is a thing that happened.
He killed Sinestro?
He killed Sinestro, broke his neck.
I thought that guy was immortal.
Nope, that's Reverse Flash. We're not talking about him.
Oh, right, there's that other yellow guy.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Green Lantern, like, Hal Jordan kills the core and destroys the Green Lantern Corps for the second time. He's only done this once.
Okay, I was about to say that's the second time the core is dead. That's 2 on the death counter for them.
2 on the death counter for them, yeah. So that made way for Kyle Rayner, who was my favorite Lantern, and he was supposed to be just like the new guy that everyone would like get to like. There was a lot of backlash for Hal because a lot of people thought this was a really bad move on Hal's part. I always liked it because it's something.
I kind of feel like it works because he was already in a really bad situation. Then he ends up like destroying stuff.
Yeah, no, Hal's life was always a mess, and he never really matured as a character. He was always this kind of like slacker, very content to live his life just doing whatever. So long as he was a Green Lantern, and I feel like that, like him never realizing there were stakes to begin with, and then almost losing everything was a really cool direction to take the character. And it added some stakes to the DC universe. It actually made it like, oh, not everyone gets that happy ending. Some people do end up villains sometimes. Some people do go down the wrong path.
New 52.
What? Yeah. And it was a really cool direction to take Hal, especially since Hal and the Green Lanterns really weren't selling that well. And it just added a really interesting dynamic for all the characters. Because now here was this friend of ours who's gone evil. Like, it was a really interesting way to broach it, and I always liked it, even if it was written over the course of a weekend, because it was written over the course of a weekend. Like the.
Are you being serious? Like,
no, the writer actively said, "No, we came up with this concept over the course of a weekend. We didn't know we were gonna do this."
Oh God.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people don't like it because Hal never really gave any inclination for it. I just thought it was a really cool way to take the character.
Okay, judging by what you've told me so far, I think it's a perfectly logical way to take his character, especially considering that he just lost everything that he cares about.
Mm-hmm.
And the Guardians, the people that gave him this ring and this power, are telling him no.
Yeah.
Just imagine how distraught this man is, and now he sees them, the people who he trusted, as a threat.
Yeah.
So imagine what happens when a person who you trust like the most in the world, betrays you. You're not going to turn around and forgive that person. You're going to destroy them.
Yeah, most people don't do that, but sure.
No, I mean like in Hal's psychological situation.
You're not going to be exactly on favorable terms with them. He took it all the way to murder, including of his best friend who didn't do anything.
Who was his best friend? Okay. Oh,
He killed
God.
Kilowog, straight up.
Wait, is Kilowog alive currently, or
He is alive currently. They brought him
God.
Back. Okay, so how
Kilowog is like my favorite Green Lantern.
Okay, so Hal came back as Parallax, and he had like because he was that much more powerful, because he was now all will, was able to like make deals with beings like extants, essentially like cosmic reality.
Extents.
We'll get to him never, because he was honestly not that interesting. Just think of him as like some,
Like the author.
he was more like some causal time being. He was gonna like, Hal's next appearance, like his next major one after fighting Kyle Rayner, was to restart the universe in 0 hour and reverse time, and then from the point of new existence, control the universe until it dies. Like essentially, he was gonna remake all of reality, and he was gonna give everyone like worlds to call their own. Like Superman gets his own paradise, Batman gets his own paradise, everyone gets their own paradise.
What about him though?
He gets his own paradise where he gets to live like the Silver Age life he wanted to go back to, but he can't really go back. So everyone fought him, and remember, he was trying to kill everyone. He wanted to like reset it so like nobody died, but still,
He has to face Superman, the most powerful being in the entire
knocked
universe.
him out straight up. There was an infamous panel. It's not infamous, but it's actually really well done, where he just like punches a man, just like punches Superman unconscious in one shot. It was super.
I mean, considering that in the movie, some guy put Superman in the is it the ER?
ER because of kryptonite bullet.
Yeah, with the
How did it
kryptonite
have
bullet.
any kryptonite, just will.
I mean, can't willpower recreate kryptonite?
It can. That's not what he did.
Oh, so he just punched the man.
Just punched him out. Yeah. Okay, so the event ends. Green Lantern shoots him in the chest, and Green Arrow shoots him in the chest. I apologize.
Also, Green Arrow was useful.
Green Arrow was useful, yes. Also, check out Hard Traveling Heroes. What I neglected to mention was that Green Lantern is best friends with Barry Allen and Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen is one of my favorite characters of all time. We'll get to him some other day. But they went on a road trip across America. This is how Hal deals with his problems. He was homeless, and that's what he decided to do. And it was essentially just a metaphor for a Democrat and a conservative taking off on a road trip across America, and essentially Ollie bringing Hal onto his side. It's a really cool comic, and check it out if you can. Hard Traveling Heroes by Denny O'Neil. Okay, back to this. So because Green Arrow shoots him in the chest, and it just essentially causes Hal to just peace out. He doesn't want anything to do with this anymore.
Wow.
Fast forward to like Final Night, which was I think around like 2000 or something like that. Sun Eater's going to destroy the Earth's sun, and someone asks Hal to fix it. This would kill Hal, but he wants to redeem himself. Revives Oliver Queen because he died in the meantime. Revives Kilowog after he killed him, and just essentially dies. And then Kyle Rayner is just the only Green Lantern for about 10 years. Okay, now we get to Rebirth. Green Lantern comes back because so they retconned it that Hal was possessed by all of fear at the time. So every Lantern Corps has like an entity, like a mascot almost.
Like Eon,
Ion
Parallax.
for the Green Lantern. Parallax was the name of the fear praying mantis for the Yellow Lanterns.
It's a mantis?
It's a mantis.
I thought it was like some kind of gigantic squid.
Mantis. The squid is compassion. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
That doesn't make very sense. It should be a hedgehog for compassion because it can be prickly.
Okay, so yeah, so they essentially decided to honestly wipe a lot of characterization for Hal out. Also, he was the Spectre in those in-between years, and I just thought that was a really good way to control his character, to like progress his character as like his redemption arc. The Spectre was the Wrath of God. Yeah, okay, we got 6 minutes. Okay, so to wrap it up, that's Hal's thing. And that's essentially where he is. Like, he's been the leader of the Green Lanterns, the greatest Green Lanterns, according to Jeff Johns. And yeah, so for anyone who wanted to know about Hal Jordan, there it is. The thing is that what we really wanted to talk about was that Hal's a bit of a goofball, despite the fact that he tried to kill everyone one time.
Kind of seems like he can't get his life together, but
he really can't.
He's really powerful.
Really strong, and really shouldn't have beat Ben 10.
Yeah, that whole thing where he beat Ben 10 with a pair of scissors was kind of dumb, considering the fact that Ben's literally had his hand removed. The hand was able to move on its own, still remain attached to him between dimensions. Like, this is literal dimension crossing where the hand's able to control his whole body.
We'll get to that another day. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was a recent meme on DC Comics entitled, "I can't believe Hal Jordan would do this in DC vs. Vampires. This is the Hal Jordan I know." And it's all just images of Hal messing up. Him knocking himself out by slipping on a banana peel and a soap, crashing into a yellow sign. It knocks him out. asking for a loan on a first date, it's a lot of things. It's glorious. Look it up if you have the time. I've been DJ Watcher.
And I've been Amante Mercado.
This was a recap of Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Godspeed.